Thank you, Katarina. I am so excited to get this special session on circularity started. And I'm grateful to We Don't Have Time and the whole team for this opportunity to highlight circular solutions in the COP30 broadcast. And like you said, Katarina, circularity is not a niche or an industry, nor a singular solution. It is a requirement for all activity in society. Because linearity means extracting virgin materials and producing waste. And that produces emissions, and it is harmful to our nature. So we must make our entire economies circular. And that is precisely the reason why Circular Monday was funded in 2017 in Sweden. As you know, this session is done in partnership with We Don't Have Time, Circular Monday, and ClimateHero. My name is Alexandra Davidsson, and I am a co-founder of Circular Monday and the impact startup ClimateHero. Excuse me, some technical issues. ClimateHero is an impact startup which helps to calculate businesses and households' emissions. And consumption-based emissions is the largest part of households' emissions. And that is the reason why ClimateHero is organizing the global campaign Circular Monday for the third year in a row. And Circular Monday, it always happens the Monday before Black Friday. And this year it happens in 1 week, November 24th, and it serves as the complete opposite of Black Friday. It is both a database for consumers or circulants to find circular alternatives, products, services, and inspirations online. But it is also a social media campaign that creates awareness around circularity. And more than 1,400 businesses, organizations, and influencers have officially joined the campaign. And last year we spread to over 40 countries and we reached over 41 million people worldwide. This year, it evolves to a circular week, with today's broadcast around circularity marking its start. You can easily take part of the campaign by registering your business or organization at the website circularmonday.com, or join as a private person and start to communicate around circularity under the hashtag #CircularMonday. But today, on this broadcast, we're going to dive deep into the visions for a circular society, but also highlight specific actors who are in the forefront of actually creating it. We will be focusing on setting up circular systems for success. And this broadcast is divided into 3 segments, each one that takes us through a specific question and segment. The first one is called From Strategy to Action. So now, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Elin Bergman, a spokesperson for Circular Monday, the circular economy queen of Sweden, chief impact officer of CradleNet, and a LinkedIn top voice. Elin will tell us more about the strategies of circular economy, why we need it, and introduce their circular action guide. Welcome, Elin.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. It's a pleasure to be here.
So nice to have you here.
We'll start with sharing my screen. So I'm just going to jump into my presentation. So I'm here to talk about circularity and, of course, how we can succeed in circular ecosystems, and talk about from strategy to action. So I'm just going to go ahead I think one of the most important things to know about circularity is, of course, that it's about really taking care of the scarce resources we have on the planet, because it is a finite planet. And a thing that we don't really talk about so much at COP is how much carbon emissions we can mitigate and reduce by going into circular and resource efficient systems. Between 40 and 70% of the global carbon emissions can be cut or reduced through circular economy. So this is super important. We can only get halfway by switching to only renewable energy. And like I said, it's about the scarce resources we have on the planet. We really need to secure a lot of resources because we need them in order to become fossil free and have electric cars and renewable energy systems and solar panels and wind power and so on. The problem is that we only have this limited amount. So if we don't really use them the most smart way, we're going to be in trouble. So we really need to start prioritizing how they are used. There's a fantastic report called Future-Proofing the Electronics Industry by PwC, where they really showed when we are running out of these precious metals and minerals that we need for the renewable energy transition. So already by 2030, that's just around the corner. We're running out of gold, tin, chromium, zinc, silver, and lead. And we are also running out of copper and barium and nickel and cobalt and all of the other really, really important materials that we're just wasting away right now. We have enormous amount of electronic waste that we're just dumping in other places than in the Western world and in developed countries. And they're just full with gold and silver and all of these precious materials. We have a lot of them in mines and in the bedrock, but the problem is going to be more and more expensive. And these dates are when it's not financially viable to dig them out anymore. So we need to really take care of these precious materials. There are some really good strategies going on already. There's a recent Bain and World Economic Forum survey of 420 global manufacturing leaders that are saying that 97% of them are already implementing circular solutions, and they do that for a broad set of reasons. But sustainability, including profitability and competitive advantage, is some of the strongest reasons. So it's already profitable to do this. More than 70% expect circular business solutions to increase their revenue by 2027 already. And nearly 2/3 believe that these strategies will improve operational resilience. And more than 50% anticipate cost savings, even when accounting for high upfront investments. So it's already profitable here now. There's another fantastic example by Zero Waste Scotland that I really like. They made a report, the state of circular economy, and that shows that the circular economy sectors are already contributing more than £7 billion to Scotland's economy, and is supporting over 81,447 jobs. So it's already really, really good, not only for the economy, but also for job creation. And this is just one region. What if all the regions on the planet did this? We will take care of scarce resources, be resource efficient, and create jobs. Amazing. This was already mentioned before, the Global Circularity Protocol for Business. So now we kind of have a GSG protocol, how to measure and go from just strategy to action for businesses. So really look into this if you're a big company and really need to know how to measure how circular you are. I think this is a fantastic initiative. There's also other really fantastic tools. So if you are into ISO standards, there are plenty already, and it's about 89 countries combined that kind of develop these together. So also very fantastic and strong tools. We also at CradenNet developed with the Exponential Roadmap Initiative a very super easy guide, the Circular Action Guide, if you want to teach your value chain on how to become circular and what steps to take. So if you're interested in reading that or just sending it out into your value chain, it's very easy to just take a picture of the QR code and you will get it for free. It's open on the website as well. And already there are some really huge companies that have mature circular models, circular business models across industries. One of them are Vinted, is one of the largest fashion retail or resale platforms in France. It's bigger than most of the iconic fashion brands. And they're selling only secondhand clothes. We have Intersport. They're selling or renting out bikes and skis, for instance, and making a lot of money. We have Apple. Some reports are saying that Apple is actually making more money now on their circular business models, repairing and selling repair parts and things, than selling new things. We also have Stellantis, the car company that combines Citroën, Fiat, and Maserati, and so on, that are investing heavily in circular economy, and they're doing it because it's going to be profitable. So these are just some very short examples. So if you want to know more, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much.
State Congress voted to ban abortion. Alternate universe located. Global temperatures rise. The effects on social media on Generation Z. To avoid catastrophe, rising sea levels, and dying coral reefs, the epicenter of a global pandemic. No exception for rape or incest.
Now, moving on to the section Enabling Structures, where we will hear from two very exciting speakers, Stefan and David, that will talk more about the laws and financial structures needed to evolve and support circular economy. And first, we will hear from both speakers, 4 minutes each, and then we will have a short panel discussion with both of them here on stage. And with that said, with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Stefan Krok, practitioner in residence, Stockholm School of Economics, entrepreneur, and author of Lagom Economy. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. So I'll stand up here. I think at those listening here now, we all know what is right, what we should do, and we've heard Elin and Alexandra and the speakers before. The problem is that we don't have an economic system that supports what is right. We have a fantastic economic system for a long time that has created jobs and opportunities and welfare for billions of people. So it's not a failure. I think we can start by being proud that humanity has done fantastic things. But the thing is that we are updating the software too seldomly. And I call it software because economic systems are not laws by nature. They are able to update. And just like we had Apple mentioned before, just like you would have to update your computer or your phone to make it continue working, even though it was great 3 years ago, you need to update it. Economic systems are the same. So currently we live in an economic system which really goes back to the late 18th century, where Adam Smith sort of preached the free market. And the free market has created fantastic things. And through innovation on innovation and innovation, many people think about interest on interest. it's the same thing for humanity. We have made so many innovations on top of them, of each other, which has created this fabulous world for humanity. However, when Adam Smith was alive, we were 800 million people on the planet, and we had not industrialized. Now we're 8 billion, heading towards 10 billion, and we have had all the industrialization. We're really good at producing stuff for very many people. And suddenly, the truth that was a truth at Adam Smith's time, that nature was in abundance, is no longer true. And then we need to go back and look what economics is all about. Economics is about managing scarce resources. They weren't scarce. Now we all listening at this, we know that the planet, planetary boundaries is really the scarcity we need to optimize on. But the system still treats nature as an externality. An externality for someone studying economics is something that you know exists, but it's not important enough to care about it. So you leave it outside the model. So this system that creates a lot of innovation, it creates the wrong kind of innovation. Because innovation is not happening out of thin air. It is because of constraints and problems that innovation occurs. And if all the constraints that are really important are not optimized on, you don't get circularity. So we really need to change this. And humanity has tried before to do changes to the economic system. We have upgraded, so we have welfare for everyone, so we don't just have a market economy, we have mixed economies. That's a great update. We tried planned economies. There were those that believed that the market was the root of evil. And we tried it, right? Humanity tried it in Soviet Union and in China, and it didn't work out good for nature, it didn't work out good for people. I think we need to keep the market, but we need to give market the right signals. That is putting a price on nature. And this idea, which I talk more about in my book, it's not my idea, it's actually more than 100 years old. But it's what maybe was a band-aid 100 years ago is now the complete healthcare system of the planet, right? We just need to do it. And now this is a broadcast from a COP meeting. I think we should also start questioning if COP meetings is the way to go to create solutions. So I think we need to start putting a price on nature and not being dependent on when we do that we can agree globally. We need to design the economic systems in a way where it gets attractive to do the right thing. But there's a book coming out in just less than 2 weeks where I expand more on this. But I really think it's a very optimistic thing that we can do it. Humanity has done marvelous things before. Now we need to get a narrative out there which makes it politically possible to start moving. And we don't need to be in global agreement at once. So that's also positive. So there's a way to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Stefan. And it's so important that we do put a price on nature. And I also believe that the markets are actually adaptable. Now, we'll dive deeper into which financial, legal, and contractual systems that are required to change in the necessary shift from linear economy to circular economy. We will hear from David Friedlinger, partner at Serial Law Firm and an author and co-author of 7 books. Very welcome.
Quite a challenge to talk about all that in 4 minutes, but let me do my best. And it's a bit more meaty slide and not as aesthetic as Stefan's. But just to go back slightly to what you said, Stefan, that I agree on this. To put price on nature, and your basic idea is to tax us as consumers, so that we pay the price for using natural resources, and that's a brilliant idea. Even though it's not maybe your own, it's still a brilliant idea. And I think that's really key to do this. And I think the key concept here, though, why I think this is necessary but not sufficient to really change everything into circularity, then I read Stefan's book during the week and I have thought a lot about this, and I think this is a matter of thinking about time. what happened in the late 18th century with Adam Smith is that we decoupled the economic system from nature's time, basically. We were in the system, agriculture system, etc., where we followed sort of the flows and circulars of the nature, and then we decoupled. And it's not only the tax system that is decoupled; it's sort of the entire set of rules in society and also contracts. So in the slides here. I thought about, okay, we have tax, we have system rules, I call them, and I think about property rights, corporate law, accounting law, bankruptcy law. Everything is sort of coded for linearity. So we have property rights. I sell something to someone here in the audience, then my responsibility ends, etc. We have accounting. Everything is sort of done yearly, etc. We don't really need to account for how much we use of the planet's resources, etc. And it also goes on in sector rules, I call it, for lack of better words. I mean, there are some rules about how to handle waste, etc. But it's mostly taken care of by the municipalities and sort of the taxpayers, basically. And we also have one of my favorite subjects is contracts. We have transactional contracts, which is quite good in a linear economy. I sell something to you, who sells something to you, who sells something to you, and then we don't have any responsibility, and that works. I think to go into a circular economy, we need definitely to do what Stefan says and to start to tax the natural resources. But I don't think it will be sufficient. We also need to update the system rules. I didn't crack that during the weekend. What about property rights? So they have existed for the last 200 years. But I think there's some heavy lifting there needs to be done. Corporate law, I mean, this is a sensitive subject for some, maybe sort of how to really optimize for long-term value. I think the accounting systems need to be upgraded also, what's in the Annual Accounts Act, etc. And bankruptcy rules are also important. On the sectorial rules, there are rules coming from the European Union that have already actually been adopted, which is great. The eco-design regulation, we have other regulations regarding packaging. In September, there was some new laws entered into force, or were adopted at least, regarding the textile industry, etc. So those are coming. I think that's great, but I think also when I see those circular systems, for example, in textile, I'm thinking about the contracts. This is a much tougher coordination exercise, for lack of better words, than just to have a linear economy. Much more players need to coordinate their actions for this to be sufficient. So I think there's another kind of contracts that are also necessary, which I call relational contracts, where we focus more. So we have a relationship, and within that sort of strong relationship, we can manage a more complex system, etc. So yeah, this is what we do. And now we can talk more about this. Tax, I think, when I think about it, probably the most fundamental thing, but there are many rules also that needs to be reshaped, sort of to recouple the economy into nature time.
Thank you so much, David, for bringing our attention to this. I mean, this is not something I at least think about. You know, when I speak about circularity, all of the systems, etc., that might need change in order for it to work. And I would like us to discuss how laws and financial structures need to evolve to support circularity. I do understand that we have just a small amount of time, but is there anything that comes to mind, like Stefan?
Well, since David had such a complicated slide and a complicated message, I think, and it's amazing that you read the book and have been expanding on it over the weekend. But just as a comparison, I don't think we need to solve too many complicated things before we get started with actually creating the need for it. So for over 20 years now, I've started companies and run companies that give 100% of their dividends to good causes forever. Many people, first of all, most people didn't believe that would work. It does. These companies are doing better than ever. But many people also thought we need to reshape the legal structure about what a limited company is. We didn't. It's just a normal limited company with a foundation owning it. So sometimes there are tools that we can use. And I think some of the complicated things we will, as a sort of cliffhanger soon, we will listen to Syre in a little while, and as I understand it, and maybe I'm wrong, but you have to pay attention, and I will learn as well. To recycle polyester makes it 25% more expensive than using virgin materials. Raise the price, and the complexity of orchestrating that will create new opportunities for different companies solving those problems. But it's difficult to orchestrate a whole value chain when everyone is losing money. So I think put a price where it belongs, so we get balance with nature, and then let people innovate and do business. And we will need to change, but we won't need to reprogram everything just because we have some missing links.
No, and I obviously agree. I mean, we need to start somewhere, etc. And I think it's the right way to start, to put price on nature, but to really have all the effects, so to say. I think everything will, well, not everything, but many more things will need to change. And I think you agree on that, Stefan. And I also think, I mean, there are many things that can be done already. We see great business models, and I personally myself, I write contracts for circular businesses and for circular systems, etc. So because there's a lot of freedom of contract, which is great, and so there's a lot of things that you can do within the system, but to change the entire system, there's much more to be done, I think.
Do you have any example of what we could do, like the most easiest or reachable that we have, that you can see now in Sweden, like for instance, that could make circular businesses thrive better, for instance? I put you on the spot here, so.
No, and I think for myself, I have looked mostly into the textile industry, and also now since the start of the year, we have the municipalities responsible for collecting the waste, and that's a good start. Eventually, that will be handed over to the to the producers, and there I see though that there are some bottlenecks. So of course you sell it, and then you need to collect it, but then you need to recycle and reuse, etc. And those bottlenecks needs to be fixed. And I think this is also where I see it's a complicated coordination problem also. So there are things, sort of new actors that can come in and sort of do more orchestration, and so there's a lot of things you can do there just by looking at these different places. See how do we need to coordinate them, and maybe have contracts that support better collaboration than sort of arm's length relationship. That's one area, and I know that there are sort of a lot of similarities from this with the bottleneck problem and coordination problem in other industries as well.
Do you have anything to add here, Stefan?
No, I think it is an enormous change that needs to be made, and Elin said before, had an example as well. There is a lot of research where when we are actually creating the opportunity to upgrade. I don't think we should just point fingers at politicians and say they are doing the wrong thing, because we need to also help them in what we want to see and what the solution is. And I think as an economist, economic systems are important. And if you argue planned economy 1 minute and a version of an upgraded market economy, it's different solutions, and we need to actually help them. Then there's very positive things very quickly. The majority of the people on the planet thinks that there's something wrong with the current system. The majority of the people on the planet thinks that the politicians ought to do more. Now we just need to create a situation where they know what to do. I wouldn't have known what to do if I was a politician 3 years ago. And now I think at least what direction I want to go. And so I think it's... then there's another example of research where how much you actually influence. If we spend a lot of time together, if I put on 10 extra kilos, it's 150% more likely that you will do so too, just because we're friends. And then it's 50% in the next line, and then it's 5%. We influence each other.
Yeah.
And this is the same with actually having an idea of what we want to see. We will make it politically possible, and it's not a law by nature. We can do it.
Yeah. Do you have any final 15 seconds thoughts that you would like to share, David?
Watch out hanging out with Stefan. Just want to avoid the gain weight.
Yeah.
I think that's my final words. No, spend much more time with Stefan, and the world will definitely become a better place.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much to the both of you, and it's really insightful to listen to your fascinating conversations, and we will be right back. Pivoting now to talk with some new guests, Sara, Dennis, and David here. And this section is called Transitioning the Linear. We all know that each and every one of us need to make this transition towards a circular economy. So, in this section, we'll get to see how 3 different companies work towards a circular economy from their own perspectives and angles. We have 3 speakers with us who each get a 4-minute spotlight on the stage before uniting here again in a panel discussion. But before I introduce our first speaker, we will watch this interesting ad.
Someone else will wear these trousers after me. Really? Who exactly? Someone mega strong. A pirate who's hidden a treasure chest in a super secret fort. But this jacket's going to a super fast firefighter who puts out fires in very dangerous places. Yeah, but then a zookeeper will get them. And next a football referee will wear them. And then a unicorn with superpowers who takes over the world. Kapow! In these exact trousers. Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. This was actually a small hint to our next speaker. I would like to introduce to you all the CEO of Polan Empiret, Sara Sjöberg. Very welcome, Sara.
Thank you. Polan Empiret has been in the circular world since 1976, before the word circularity even was invented, I think. So for almost 50 years now, our focus has been durability. We were founded to let women be more active in the workplace. And how could we do that back in 1976? Well, by doing it easier on the household, right? So it's easier to wash and easier to hand down. Siblings, friends, and neighbors. And to be worn by at least 3 children has been our motto even since. And now,
non ho ancora capito bene, lei viene già. Allora, lei papà.
more and more talked about, right? So a garment that can tell a story is often more wanted than a new garment. We can see there's been new generations coming, that Vinted, as we heard about before, or the other marketplaces for secondhand, is growing really, really fast. And for us to be able to hand down clothes and sell them in secondhand is something natural. So we have secondhand items in all of our physical stores. More than 5% of our store sales are secondhand. And we sold last year almost 130,000 items again. Because that's the trick. We need to be profitable. So we need to do this in a very sustainable way for us as a business. And this is why we think that handing down children by children, wear and tear, let the children be children, is super, super important. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Sarah. I absolutely love that you added a fourth line and that we look upon our clothes, you know, that they are actually telling stories. And I believe many people could recognize themselves in that. Now, let's hear from Dennis Nobelius, CEO of Syre, and what they are doing to help companies transition to a circular economy. Stage is all yours.
Thank you very much. So I'm Dennis from Syre. I will actually start to spend a few seconds on my fellows here. So first of all, grown up with Polarn and Pyret, two brothers, reuse was the name of the game. Other example is from the ice bag company here. So my son went into the ice bag store, presented them from the salesperson there 2 options on shoes, and also spelling out the CO2 per shoe. My son went for the lowest, didn't even look at them, just, go for the lowest. I think that is great, so thank you for that, my fellows. So I'm representing Syre, and what I'm about to say is that at the end of the game, for the shoes, for the clothing, what do we do then? Then Syre comes into game. So we are focused on polyester. We would like to bring about every textile fiber to see a new life. And especially when it comes to polyester, that is really a terrible fiber. It has got so good cost attributes, and it's such a usable fiber. So it stands for today 60% of all the textile fibers today. But it comes from virgin oil, and that is not okay. And we have plenty of polyester out there in the world. So what we do is that we take those old clothes that no one can use anymore, safety belts, seat belts, airbags, stuff like that, and then bring that about and create new t-shirts, new stuff from polyester that we can circulate in the world over and over again. And then on the retail price, just to comment on Stefan here, 1% delta on the end retail price. And we think that many, many consumers will choose that over something else that is not sustainable. We're a bit strange as well, because we were created by a customer. We were created and founded by H&M. H&M and Vargas decided that they need something to scale really big, because only then you can make an impact. So they offered to us, negotiated, $600 million of worth of customer contracts to us as a company, which had 2 persons at the time. That is pretty fantastic. That's a great start. Now last week, or actually during the spring, we had launch partners, Target, Gap, Houdini, to join in and securing a contract with us and a customer direction. Last week, we were able to announce Nike, which is great. So having H&M and the innovation leader of Nike being part of this, that marks the great textile shift. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dennis. You still had a little bit of time. I was trying to say, please stand here. Yeah, you took the cue. Okay. But thank you. I look forward to hear a bit more. But first, let's hear from our last speaker in this section, and it's David Ekelund, CEO of co-founder of Icebug. And please stand here.
Here?
Yes.
Here? Yeah. Okay. And here's the mic as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So, many great speeches already. I think circularity for us has been a lot about finding where we really can make a difference. So we have investigated a lot of things around circularity, like resale models and so on. But in footwear, it's not really a great second-hand market. It's not something that you want used from others. And when we have been fast in changing to completely recycled materials, it has often come with a trade-off that the durability has been less. So we really try on the product level now to hit this sweet spot of actual resource use and emissions cost per use. So if it adds to the durability, 30-40%, to add in 10% virgin oil, then in this system, it's still a better thing to do. And I think also for us that the overall thing we look at in circularity is not having as much circular loops as possible. We are really following what happens in the footwear industry, but as of now, footwear is a very bad product to recycle, because there are so many materials that don't really recycle well. So what we are really looking at is how do we make products that extend, so make longer loops, and generally also, which is something we don't maybe always discuss enough. So how do we move towards designing sales processes that don't trigger overconsumption? Because the consumption, the shopping is what really causes a lot of stress into the system. So that's something which is not very visible of what we do, but it's a very important part. Like never having flash sales, never trying to create this false sense of scarcity, this lower price or discount, it ends tonight at $23.59. But instead, making people buy products that they really are going to use.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, David. And we do have a panel today with 3 of you with a little bit of extra time. So we have around 10 minutes to discuss together. And I would like us to discuss briefly how can linear industries transition effectively, and can they? Sarah, would you like to start?
I think all speakers have been on this topic before today, and I think the basic thing for me is that we need to produce less things, right? So we know that to be able to do that, we need to produce durable things that last. In that way, we can then encourage the consumers to use it over and over again. And when I'm done, I can sell it or hand it over to someone else. And that's, to me at least, the core thing, that we in the textile industry, we need to be responsible for this. To be able to change the system into a circular system, we need to take our responsibility and create things that lasts.
Anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. I can just say that. So when you have done all that, then I think we'd be happy to take over that. But it needs to be profitable.
Yes.
To really get the scale and the impact there, I believe that the business needs to be profitable. And then you have legislation coming in, you have the brands coming in, you have the consumers coming in, and you have the pressure on us to be extremely cost effective. So I think when that plays, then you have an ecosystem that really will make things great.
And you mentioned some numbers before, or percentages, like comparing.
Yeah, I think
you
what we
clarify?
have done with one of the sports brand, for example, is that we did the full calculation and realized that it's actually, if you apply our scale then you have around 1% on the retail price at the end of the game, which I think is nothing if you compare to the value that you provide to the consumer.
Yeah, and the planet as well,
Yes.
like polyesters.
Yeah, and when it comes to the reduction of CO2, we expect between all the way up to 60 to 80% of reduction versus using virgin oil.
Yeah.
And we are here to stop the landfill and to actually decarbonize and de-waste the supply chain.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I would love to hear a little bit more about where you are in this stage. But first, I would like to hear David's thought on the first question I asked, like, how can linear industries transition effectively, and can they?
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of us can. Of course, there are certain obstacles, like also from the chemical side. When you use recycled materials, it's very difficult to control exactly what's in them. But I think we need to not wait for perfect, but start moving. It's a little bit like, can we all get completely circular? We don't know, but we'll see. But it's like the net zero. So what actually are we going to be able to do the last part? Not very sure, but get the first 50% done to 2030 first would be the most important thing to start with. So what we can do now that reduces resource use, that's the most important thing to focus at.
Yeah. And what is that what you're doing now at Icebug? Like, is that what you're focusing on right now, or are you open to share that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are kind of reframing. So what is our purpose and how do we serve that purpose best? And we are looking at this. So, okay, if we have 10 million people, how can we be somebody who is a solution provider towards giving them globally sustainable, flourishing life years? And for us, a lot of that is about empowering more people to get outdoors more, because we know that there are a lot of positive benefits relating to that. And that also means that this kind of static problem approach, so looking at exactly what we do now and everything just everybody just reduce the emissions we cause. We don't think that that's really the best approach, but rather looking at what sectors, what companies can really be solution providers that help people live better lives on a planet which is regenerative.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. Dennis, would you also be open to share, like, where is it syre or sire?
It works both.
Okay, then I will stick with
Syre in
syre.
Swedish and sire when we are abroad, because we're trying to emphasize the part, the reuse and recycle.
Okay, I thought it was like oxygen, but okay.
It is.
But yeah, where are you in your process?
I mean, first of all, we are almost done with the celebration of Nike from last week. But where we are right now is that we are securing product financing and looking into how to really build a big plant in Vietnam. We recognize Vietnam has got good green energy. Textile industry is in Southeast Asia or Asia, so we need to be present. And then we decided to go first for Vietnam. So we're right now selecting industrial parks, checking out the soil, where you can build effectively, and choosing partners for that. So that's the stage we're right now, preparing for Vietnam and going big, and then of course securing funding and financing for that, where they then use the customer contract as part of that.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm also curious about Polarn and Pyret. Like, you were mentioning that you sell a lot of clothes, like 136,000 last year. But like, what is your next goal? What are you focusing on now? I mean, the work you're doing is great, but would you like to share?
Sure. So we want to expand our footprint to more customers. So we are growing our e-com, but of course that is not on the expense of less durability or less secondhand. So we can see that our secondhand part of our sales is growing every year, even though that we have a bit fewer stores this year where we can hand in and sell our secondhand. We can see that people are actually enjoying a lot to both go to the store every week and look, so it gives us store traffic. They then get a voucher to buy something else from us, so it drives loyalty for us. And then, of course, with the lower price point of our own products in store, that is also a new customer acquire, because you can try our products for a lower price, and then if you like it, maybe you buy a new one next time, or still a secondhand one. So we try to live our brand by being circular. It's not something that we do on the side or a separate thing, rather to tell the new customers about how we view quality, premium, and durability, really.
And I have we have like a minute or two left, and I have a very personal question I would like to ask you. It's a personal question for me. So I guess you heard about the campaign Circular Monday. And if you would describe this campaign with only one word, what will you describe it with? It's happening, now on Monday, and Circular Week is starting today, leading up to Circular Monday on the 24th of November. So yeah, like if you heard about it, what is like the first word that comes up like when you think about Circular Monday?
I would say responsibility.
Responsibility? Oh, that's great.
I would probably say balance.
Balance. I like that. Yeah, the yin and yang.
Counterbalance even, maybe.
Counterbalance, yeah. What do you say, David?
Common sense. Technically 2 words, but it's kind of a concept, right?
No, but I love it. And now, before we end, you each get, of course, like 10 to 15 seconds each to finish before I do an outro of this session. If there's anything else you would like to add around circularity?
No, I think I'd just like to add to what was discussed before, that as an owner, you can really decide what the company should be for. So you don't need to wait for legislation or even for customers to ask for stuff.
Yeah.
You just do what is the right thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just add that customers has power, so use that.
Yeah, we do.
And my addition would be, don't make it so hard. Integrate it in what you do, be proud of what you do, and then go for it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for all of that fascinating conversations. We're going to pass the torch back across the ocean to Belém for the next 30 minutes or so. For those of us here in the Stockholm studio, we will have a little intermission. But during the meantime, please enjoy the nature positive discussion. It will come live to you all the way from Brazil. And after that, we will see you back here in just a little while for our third and final session on our circularity broadcast. And thank you for watching so far. And I see you soon. Hello again and welcome back to the We Don't Have Time studio here in Stockholm. I really hope you enjoyed that fascinating panel from Nature Positive. And now we are going to continue our discussion and broadcast around circularity. As I said before, this broadcast is organized in a partnership between We Don't Have Time, ClimateHero, and Circular Monday. And in only 1 week, we are celebrating the world's largest campaign for circular consumption, Circular Monday on November 24th. But today marks the start of Circular Week that leads up to the 24th. And if you do have a circular product or a service as a business or an organization, I really invite you all to sign up to become a buddy in the campaign and be part of celebrating and spreading the message of circularity. And if you're an influencer or a change maker talking a lot about circularity, we also invite you to be part of the campaign. But if you just want to support the campaign through this from today and to the coming week, please talk about circularity under the hashtag Circular Monday in your social media. And don't forget to officially join it as well. I do believe that we have some technical issues. We are trying to segment, we will have two of the campaign buddies in Circular Monday with us, and we're going to discuss tools and roadmaps. We'll be hearing from two companies that are operating from a circular business model, approaching circularity from their own angles. And they each get a few minutes each to present and talk about their businesses, and then we will follow up with a panel on stage. It is a great pleasure to welcome up here on stage Emil Pettersen and Pia Walter on the stage here. And I have the great pleasure to let you start with your minutes, Emil Pettersen. You are the founder of Reparell AB, and you will share a little bit of Reparell's journey and data-driven credibility and green claims, correct?
Yeah.
Nice.
Want me to start?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I've always learned that never start a presentation with a diagram or anything like it, so I'm putting on a diagram and I will keep it there the whole time I speak. My name is Emil. I'm not a textile guy originally. I'm an economist. I was working 15 years in IT industry, developing platform for society like smart cities and telematic systems for public transportation. By lucky happening, I ended up in the textile industry working for one of the big textile producers in the western part of Sweden. It took me approximately 15 minutes to realize that this industry have never been reinvented. Where I came from, you had to reinvent your own job every day, otherwise you would find it, and the processes outshipped to India within 3 months. So I started thinking about what can be done, what could be improved, and a lot of the answers I got is, well, there will be a better system for this next year or in 5 years, or we're working with something, so we don't alter the business philosophy at the moment. We're waiting for the next step. So 3 years I managed to stay in that kind of positions until I found out that I just have to organize my own textile company and learn the industry from the ground, because if I'm gonna dismantle the business model, which I found fairly ineffective, I needed to understand where it could be trimmed, which variables to look at. What we found, and we're going to talk about roadmaps, but the most important thing before you start making a roadmap is trying to use the actual map and figure out where you are. It's no need with a compass if you don't know where you are when from the beginning. We had some hypotheses. We decided that we would use only a few different yarns. And as you hear, starting a textile industry, I took it down to the yarn, and so to try to figure out what can we do there. We choose to use 3 yarns. One is PET, which was talked about regarding of syre. PET can be made from recycled drinking bottles. It can also be made from lesser worth material. It's more complicated and it's more expensive, but it's possible. We found a supplier of what we call ocean waste yarn, which is yarn recycled from plastic picked up from the ocean. The other yarn we decided to use was recycled tires recycled by pyrolysis. Where you have the pyrolysis oil, you make that to yarn, and then you can make whatever you want. As long as you have the yarn, you pretty much control the narrative. The third yarn, because when you're making things that people should wear, you want a natural fiber. We ended up with buying Tencel, the natural fiber made in an industrial plant, but we decided to use Tencel from Lenzing in Austria, because if you're going to use a yarn that's made from chemical processes, well, it's important that the process is regulated. So these are the only 3 yarns we decided to use. Being a small company, you have to make some more assumptions. We knew that we had European yarn. Well, then we need European production, because one of the most emission-driven factors, which you can see on the screen if you have access to it, is the transportation before the yarn becomes an item. So we set up a production factory in Portugal. So we import the yarn from Italy, Spain, and Austria to Porto, and from the yarn and enters Porto till it's ready-made clothes. It moves less than 40 kilometers. This is obviously driving the expenses using European production, but then again, shorting down the emission, shorting down the cost for transportation goes directly to the bottom line. So we can always discuss whether sustainable or more expensive raw material is feasible or not, but for us, we found that what we lost in one place could be found on the other one. Then we took help of ClimateHero to make an LCA. An LCA is one way of measuring your environmental factors. There are lots of discussions going on regarding different fabrics, different ways of doing things. LCA is fairly scientific, and it's possible to compare it to what you had before and what you had afterwards. And when we did the math by the help of the LCA, we saw that what was actually good for the environment, lesser emission cost, European controlled production where we could control that we didn't have any spill-off from the production, more dedicated workers. One of the funny spin-offs we found during the LCA was that we always thought that producing in Sweden would be the best for the environment, because everybody knows that local is good, right? We learned that it's always local somewhere, and taking fabric from Spain to Sweden to make the garment here, and you're also transporting the excess material. So if you want to do great things, you have to find the closest route from the raw material to the ready-made product. By the help of ClimateHero and the LCA, we managed to figure out that, hey, sustainability, which for us was the driving, was also economical. That was what paid for the extra expenses. And the fact that when you have an LCA going to consumers, which for us in Reparell is mostly businesses, you see that they actually feel, I mean, they will probably buy it anyway, but having the possibility to put the LCA beside the order, it makes a difference. When we started doing it, wrapping up. I was told to speak longer than I thought, so but it's all right. So what I'm trying to say is that even for small businesses, there is a possibility to reduce your climate impact, and it can also be economical. This is the raw material we're using today, and turning it into yarn has a non-measurable but still sustainable or environmental impact. That's pretty much what I want to say about Reparell. And then again, I'm not against anyone reusing stuff. I'm not against secondhand. We just live in a world where some companies, some customers want virgin production or new products, and then my bit to the party is I can produce something that is recycled when it's new.
Thank you so much, Emil. It was super interesting to hear Reparell's story and how you're approaching sustainability and also validating your numbers with a life cycle analysis from ClimateHero. But now I have the immense pleasure of introducing Pia Walter, co-founder and Chief Financial Officer and Business Development at Reused Remade, which has a circular business model. That's right?
Yeah, that's correct. Well, I want to start off with saying what a privilege it is to be here today, to be invited to speak. So thank you to ClimateHero, Circular Monday, and the organization We Don't Have Time. So I'm one of the co-founders of Reused Remade. So what do we do? Well, Reused Remade, the idea of Reused Remade came actually from the Paris conference, climate conference back in 2015, where a report stated that if we don't do anything, we could have more plastic than fish in our oceans. And one of the polluting plastic we had were single-use plastic bags. So we decided to look into that. How can we exchange a single-use plastic bag with a textile bag without using virgin material? Because the truth is, as we are aware of in this room, the textile industry is one of the most polluting industries in the world. It accounts for 10% of the global emission of CO2. In the production of textile, 80% of the climate and environmental impact comes from the production process. So we need to look into that. We're getting some few numbers more when it comes to textile. 1 kilo of textile emits up to 40 kilos of CO2. It consumes up to 29,000 liters of water, and it can consume as much as 6.9 kilos of chemicals, of course, all depending on what fiber you use. So what can we do? What material could we use instead? Well, the material that we are using was hiding in plain sight, discarded hotel bed linen. So this is a fabric that is of high quality. It's well woven because it is to endure multiple hundreds and hundreds of wash cycles in the hotel industry. So by reusing this material as it is, we avoid consuming recycling processes. I know you don't take a textile, but we avoid the consuming recycling processes, and this and can prolong the life of the textile and turn them into, just by cutting, printing, and stitching, into durable, functional, long-living new products. And as Emil said here earlier, the LCA, let's look at the numbers. It is important to know your numbers and what you do. So we did an updated life cycle assessment this year, and we published 2 environmental product declarations for our 2 products, one made in Pakistan and one made in Lithuania. And the results were clear. We save as much as 80% of the CO2 emission. We save 98% of the chemical use and 99.9% of water by reusing hotel textiles. And in that case, when we talk about transport, the difference between, because we source in Sweden and in Finland, so we made the 2 environmental product declarations for the 2 countries. So the difference between Pakistan and Lithuania is only 0.4 kilos of CO2. So when it comes to textile, that transport has little contribution. The win we are doing is by reusing the material as it is. Reuse Remade is today present at different markets. We supply retailers and companies, organization with white label, private label, branded products such as carrier bags or reusable makeup pads, because we also upcycle terry towels and tablecloth besides the bed linen. We also develop packaging solutions, which is really very it's new, but it's also into the politics right now with the new waste management regulations. So we do everything from production, material collection, production, and distribution. And finally, well, I will round it up. So thank you for having us here today, and let's get some questions.
Thank you so much, Pia. It's super interesting to hear about how Reuse Remade is working and the calculations you've been doing within your company. So thank you for sharing that. Now, I would like to ask both of you a question. What does a successful circular roadmap look like in practice? I know this is a complicated question, but like if we have 1 minute answer each here, like try it.
I was trying to end with yes, but I think a successful roadmap leads up to a business model or a product model that's economical feasible. I believe that all efforts made to do anything sustainable or whatever is only sustainable if it's also profitable. Otherwise it's hobbies or charity, and that's nice as well, but for companies wanting to make a revenue and have a strong bottom line, it's really important that there is economic feasibility, and that doesn't have to be an opposite problem. That, as we show with our LCA, it's actually two sides of the same coin. Sustainability is economically viable if done correctly.
Do you agree with that? Yeah.
I do agree with that. I do definitely agree with that. Sustainability needs to be profitable. I mean, all business needs to be that. But I want to circle back a little to what I was talking about earlier, the context that we are living in that is constructed for linear production that went back to the early 18th century. So I think that we need to get some help from society as a whole in order to really transform from a linear to circular for circular business models. And I also believe that it's within our power to do so, and it's within us as consumers or business makers to do that, to take the baby steps, because we can really make a difference. There are a lot of businesses, a lot of products and services that actually can be reused over and over and over again. So I think it needs to be profitable, but we also need help from the context.
And you wanted to add something here.
We decided before the debate that we should agree about everything. So I agree totally. But one of the problematic things with the sustainable debate is that it's so biased from medium income to high income Scandinavian or North European standards. I mean, discussing an LCA or discussing reusing clothes or linen or whatever, well, that's maybe a problem for us, but there is approximately 5 billion people in the world who doesn't have a problem with too much clothes. So in addition to that, we have to find circle models that are scalable and can be applied globally, because otherwise we're just solving a problem here. And it's nice, we feel good and we make money and stuff, but I think that seeing the acknowledging the global South and the Asia. And Asia is incredibly important as well to be able to restore what we've done so bad with the world.
And connecting more with nature again. I would like to circle back a little bit to what you were raising about, like, we need some help to make circular business models more sustainable and profitable. Is there something tangible, like that you as a business owner can point out right now, like this needs to be fixed or taken care of, or however you would phrase it?
Okay, well, looking into what's coming ahead when it comes to extended producer responsibility for textile, which is great, I believe, taking responsibility for the waste, but making sure that it aligns with the eco directive as well. So actually that reused materials does not get double charged because they are reproduced by material already existing.
With the VAT system, you mean then?
Yes,
Or
so if you have a responsibility for producer responsibility for the textile and put it on the market once, and then you redesign, you upcycle as we do, and then you get charged one more time for the same material. It must be that it's aligned with the eco-design directive, so that it is excluded from double taxation, so to speak. And the same goes when it comes to the waste, because we are working with packaging solutions. Today we look so much on the recyclability, which is great, but it's still for a linear business that we want to do. But also, since it only looks at the recyclability and not where the material comes from, means that what's the initiative to recycle paper, recycle plastic, recycle things if we have the same fees for it? So that's what I would like to see when it comes to the EU regulations.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I will ask the same question to you, Emil. And what if you can limit your answer to 1 minute, like something tangible?
I believe that all initiatives are good by default, most of them. I believe that if everyone did the best they could with the possibilities they have today and woke up tomorrow and tried to fine-tune it and do it better, I think that would be the solution, because it's not producers' responsibility solely. It's not governmental or consumers. It's a united responsibility. So do the best you can today and do it better tomorrow.
And please stay and sit down, but thank you so much for sharing your insights with all of us today. And I also would like to thank all of you here in the Stockholm studio, for all of you who have been watching online and joining us, and a huge thanks to all of our brilliant speakers and for all of the insightful conversations that we've been having here today during our circularity broadcast. And I think if I had to summarize what we have been hearing today, it would be this: the circular economy isn't just about doing less harm. It's about creating systems that restore, regenerate, and reconnect. We've seen that when businesses, cities, and change makers work together, circularity becomes more than a concept. It actually becomes a movement, quite like Circular Monday. From strategies to systems to stories, today has shown that the future is already being built, one circular solution at a time. And now it is time for all of us to join in on this. Circular Week and Weekend is happening right now, and it leads up to Circular Monday on November 24th. And it is the world's largest campaign for circular consumption. We help to create a more circulence, that is the future sustainable consumer out there. We show them tons and tons of businesses that actually produce those products and services that they need, but in a circular way. Visit circularmonday.com and register your business or share your circular story on your social media under the hashtag Circular Monday. Because together, we're closing the loop and opening the future. Thank you.